I have watched you in the deepest silence of the night, when the rest of the world is surrendered to sleep. But your mind is a churning sea of questions, and your heart is a heavy stone in your chest. I have seen the way you have clutched your pillow, stifling the cries that felt too loud for the air to hold, yet too quiet for anyone else to hear. You have walked through seasons that felt like a relentless winter, where the frost of disappointment bit deep into your bones and the winds of adversity seemed determined to strip away every last leaf of hope you possessed. You have asked, "How much longer?" until your voice grew hoarse, and you have wondered if the heavens had turned to brass above your head. But I want you to lean in closely now, closer than you have ever dared to reach, because there is a truth I have been whispering to your spirit in the darkness, a truth that your pain has made difficult to decipher until this very moment. Your suffering was never a sign of my absence, but a profound indicator of your proximity to my greatest purpose. Do not mistake the intensity of your battle for a lack of my favor. On the contrary, the enemy of your soul does not waste his strongest storms on those who pose no threat to his kingdom. You have been targeted because you are a carrier of a glory so heavy, so transformative, that it requires a foundation of supernatural depth. If your life has felt like a continuous process of breaking, it is only because I am expanding your capacity to contain the magnitude of what is to come. A small vessel cannot hold the outpouring of an ocean, and you, my child, are being prepared to hold a deluge of my grace that will overflow to nations. Every sleepless night, every betrayal that cut like a knife, every season of being overlooked and undervalued, none of it was wasted. I have been there in the thick of the smoke, standing beside you in the furnace of affliction, ensuring that the flames would only consume the chains that bound you, while leaving your soul refined like the purest gold. I have kept a record of every tear that has tracked down your face. Not one has fallen to the earth unnoticed. In my hands, those tears have become sacred seeds. You thought you were weeping out of despair, but you were actually sowing into the most fertile soil of your future. There is a spiritual law that remains unbroken. Those who sow in tears shall reap in joy. The depth of the furrow being plowed into your heart is exactly proportional to the height of the harvest I am preparing to bring forth. You have felt hollowed out, empty, and spent, but I have been clearing the space within you for a weight of glory that would have crushed a lesser soul. Your destiny is not common, therefore, your preparation could never be ordinary. You are not meant for the shallow waters of a comfortable existence. You are a deep-sea voyager, and the pressures you have endured in the depths were necessary to strengthen your frame for the wonders you are about to behold. I know the weariness that clings to your spirit. I know how tired you are of being strong. I want you to know that in my presence, you do not have to be strong. You can simply be mine. I have carried you through storms you did not even know were raging, and I have shielded you from strikes that were intended to end your story prematurely. Your story is not ending in the valley. It is merely being written in the shadows so that it may shine with a blinding brilliance in the light. The very things that tried to break you are the things I am using to build the platform for your greatest victory. You are being forged, not forgotten. You are being prepared, not punished. This weight you feel, this heavy, sometimes suffocating pressure, is not the weight of the world or the weight of your failures. It is the weight of the glory that is resting upon you, pressing you into the shape of the leader, the healer, and the light-bearer you were always meant to be. My eyes have never left you, not for a single heartbeat. When you felt most alone, I was weaving the very fibers of your character, stitching together a resilience that will allow you to stand when others fall. Your pain has been the tutor of your empathy, and your scars will be the credentials of your authority. Do not look back at the years of struggle with regret, for they were the womb of your greatness. I have loved you with an everlasting love, and that love has been the anchor keeping you from drifting away in the gales. Rest now in the knowledge that your suffering has a name, and that name is preparation. You are the heir to a kingdom, and I am merely dressing you for the throne. Peace, my child. The morning is closer than it has ever been, and the harvest from your tears is already beginning to bloom. Think of the architect who designs a simple footbridge across a quiet stream. Such a structure requires no deep pilings, no tempered steel, and no rigorous inspection. It is meant for light traffic and fair weather. But you, my beloved, are not a mere footpath. You are a bridge designed to carry the weight of nations, the hopes of the broken, and the heavy burdens of those who have lost their way. To sustain such a load, your foundations had to be sunk into the bedrock of my grace through the deepest of nights. Every stress test you endured, the fires of rejection, the pressures of lack, the crushing weight of loneliness, was not an act of cruelty, but a verification of the integrity of your spirit. If a bridge fails under the manufacturer's test, it cannot be trusted with the lives of the multitude. You did not fail. You groaned under the pressure, yes, but your soul did not snap because I was the hidden reinforcement within your very core. The intensity of your trials has always been directly proportional to the magnitude of your calling. You were not being punished. You were being prepared for a weight of glory that would have crushed a lesser soul. I have permitted the winds to howl against you only to prove that you are unshakable. Just as the blacksmith plunges the glowing metal into the cold water to temper it, I have allowed the alternating seasons of heat and cold to forge a strength in you that is unbreakable. You have often asked why your path was so much steeper than those around you, why your storms lasted longer and your winters felt colder. It is because I am not raising you to be a common inhabitant of the plains, but a dweller on the heights. The air is thinner there, and the requirements for survival are much more demanding. You have been trained in the secret place of suffering so that you may lead in the public place of power. Every moment you felt abandoned was actually a moment of intense focus, where I was chiseled away the parts of you that could not survive the atmosphere of your destiny. Do not envy those who have known only ease, for their roots are shallow, and they cannot withstand the changing of the ages. Your roots, however, have grown deep into the darkness, searching for the hidden springs of my life, and now you are ready to tower over the landscape as a sign and a wonder. The heavy loads you will soon carry, the responsibilities of leadership, the mantle of healing, the stewardship of my secrets, would have shattered the person you were before the trial. But look at yourself now. You are not the same. There is a density to your spirit, a gravity to your words, and a resilience in your heart that was birthed in the furnace. You have become a vessel of honor, fit for the Master's use, capable of holding the new wine that I am about to pour out. The size of the hole that has been dug in your life by loss and grief is the exact measure of the volume of joy and influence I am about to fill it with. Your capacity for compassion was expanded by your capacity for pain. Your authority over the enemy was forged in the moments you had to command your own soul to hope when all light seemed extinguished. You are now a structure of immense strength, and the world will soon cross over the bridge of your life to find their way to me. The blueprints are complete, the testing is over, and the ribbon is about to be cut. Step forward into the light of this new day, for the weight you now carry is no longer the weight of the struggle, but the magnificent, golden weight of a destiny fulfilled. You are my masterpiece, and every strike of the hammer was guided by my hand of love. Now, stand tall, for the throne I have prepared for you is ready, and the character I have built within you is finally heavy enough to wear the crown. Understand then the mystery of the olive, for it is the perfect mirror of your soul's journey. Before the golden oil can be poured out to heal and to light the way, the the fruit must first be broken. There is no other path for the essence to escape the confines of its skin. You have lived through a season of such intense pressure that you felt the very fibers of your being might snap under the strain. It was a time where the walls of your life seemed to close in, squeezing the breath from your lungs and the hope from your heart, until you were certain that destruction was your only end. You cried out to me in the darkness of the press, asking why the weight had become so unbearable, why the burden was so much heavier than what others were asked to carry. And I say to you now, with the tender authority of a father who has watched over every moment, I was not seeking to destroy the olive, I was seeking to release the anointing. Look closely at the process of the press. It is a place of shadows and heavy silence, where the great stone turns and the weight is applied without apparent mercy. To the fruit, it feels like the end of the world. It feels like the death of everything it once was. But to the master of the harvest, who stands by with a vessel ready to catch the flow, it is the beginning of the glory. Your suffering was never an act of random cruelty or a sign of my abandonment. It was a divine extraction. You carried within you a richness of spirit, a reservoir of wisdom and grace that the world desperately needs, but it was locked away behind the walls of your own strength and the shell of your own understanding. The pressure was the only key that could unlock the treasure. Had you remained whole, you would have been beautiful to look upon on the branch, but you would have remained cold and contained. You would have been a decoration, but never a source of power. I did not design you to be a decoration. I designed you to be a lampstand, a beacon in the thickest darkness this generation has ever known. Think of the Garden of Gethsemane, the place whose very name means the oil press. It was there, under the most crushing weight in the history of the cosmos, that the greatest victory was prepared. Your personal Gethsemane was not a sign of my absence, but of my most profound and intimate presence. I was there in the press with you, closer than the very air you breathed, catching every drop of your endurance and every ounce of your faithfulness. Every tear that fell from your eyes in those long nights of crushing sorrow has been gathered and transformed into the very oil that will now heal the brokenhearted and open the eyes of the blind through your touch. You wondered why your trials were so much more intense, so much more prolonged than those around you. It is because the volume of oil required for your specific destiny is immense. A small flame needs only a single drop to flicker for a moment, but a great fire that is meant to warm a nation requires a vast reservoir. I have dug deep into your life, past the soil of your pride and the rock of your self-sufficiency, to build a storage chamber that can hold the unprecedented outpouring of my spirit that is coming upon you. The pressure you endured was the exact measurement of your future impact. The harder the press, the purer the oil. The deeper the pain, the higher the glory. You are emerging from the press now. The stone is being lifted, and while the weight is falling away, the oil remains. You will notice a fragrance about you now that was not there in the seasons of ease, the unmistakable scent of a soul that has been refined by fire and pressed by the hand of God. This fragrance will draw the lost, the hurting, and the weary to the light that now burns within you. They will look at your peace and wonder how it was bought. You will tell them it was bought in the press. They will see your unshakable strength and ask where it was forged. You will tell them it was forged under the weight of the stone. Your destiny is not merely to survive the crushing, but to illuminate the world with the result of it. The oil you carry is not for your own comfort, but for the ignition of a movement. I am pouring you out now into the lamps of the world. Your words will carry a weight they never had before because they are seasoned with the salt of your tears and the gold of your processed heart. Your presence will bring a stillness that silences the storms of others because you have mastered the storm within. You have been prepared for such a time as this. and the character I have built within you is finally pure enough to reflect my image without distortion. Do not look back at the press with bitterness or regret, but with the quiet gratitude of the victor, for the very thing that tried to break you has instead become the fuel for your greatest triumph. Stand tall in the confidence of this truth. The pressure was the precursor to the power. You are my anointed one, and the oil of your life will never run dry, for its source is the eternal love that carried you through the dark. And it is into that very love that I now invite you to sink, deeper than you have ever dared to go before. I want you to come closer now, for the time of the press has passed, and the time of the resting has begun. Let the noise of the world fade into a distant hum, for I wish to speak to the deepest parts of your soul, the places where the echoes of the struggle still linger. I see the weariness that has settled into your very bones, a fatigue that sleep cannot touch. I know the weight you have carried, the nights you spent staring into the darkness, wondering if the dawn would ever break. I see the toll that worry has taken on your frame, the way your shoulders have braced against the invisible winds of anxiety, and the way your heart has beat with the frantic rhythm of a bird trapped in a cage. But hear me now. The battle for your mind is over. The season of striving is drawing to a close, and I am stepping into the center of your chaos to command the waves to be still. I am not a distant God, watching from a cold throne. I am your Father, and I am here to gather you into my arms. I want you to feel the tension leaving your muscles, the tightness in your chest loosening, and the racing thoughts finally finding a place to rest. You have spent so much energy trying to figure it all out, trying to map out a future that only I can see, but I am asking you to lay down the map. I am the way, and I am the destination. My peace, which defies every human logic and transcends all understanding, is descending upon you even as you read these words. It is not a peace the world gives, fragile and fleeting, but a peace that is anchored in my unchanging nature. It is wrapping around you now, like a thick, warm blanket on a bitter winter's night, shielding you from the frost of fear and the biting wind of what if. Feel the weight of this peace. It is heavy, not like a burden but like a comfort, pressing down the jagged edges of your soul until everything is smooth and quiet. I am hushing the voices that told you that you weren't enough, the voices that whispered that your suffering was for nothing. They were lies meant to distract you from the glory being formed within you. I am quieting your mind so that you can hear my heartbeat, and in that rhythm, you will find the cadence of your own healing. Do not apologize for your exhaustion. Do not feel ashamed of the tears that have carved paths down your face. These are the marks of a warrior who has endured the heat of the forge, and I cherish every one of them. But even a warrior must rest. I am taking the shield from your tired hands and the sword from your weary grip. You do not need to defend yourself anymore. I am your fortress. I am your high tower. The destiny I have prepared for you is indeed massive, but it will not be achieved through your frantic effort. It will flow out of this place of rest. It will be birthed from the stillness of a heart that knows it is loved. Rest your head upon my shoulder and let the rhythm of my breath become your own. There is no need to rush into the next phase. There is no need to prove your worth to me or to anyone else. You are mine, and that is enough. The gold of your processed heart is precious, and now I am polishing it with the soft cloth of my mercy. I am restoring the years the locusts have eaten, not just in your circumstances, but in your very spirit. I am mending the neural pathways that were frayed by trauma, and I am soothing the nervous system that has been on high alert for far too long. Can you feel it? The warmth of my presence is soaking into you, melting the ice of old sorrows. I am whispering to your future that it is safe, and I am whispering to your past that it is forgiven and redeemed. There is a great work ahead of you, a destiny that will shake the foundations of the earth, but the strength for that work will come from this very moment of surrender. Let the blanket of my love cover every part of you, your mind, your emotions, your physical body. Breathe in my grace, breathe out the worry. I have gone before you to level the mountains, and I am your rear guard. You are surrounded not by enemies, but by the host of heaven and the infinite affection of your Creator. Be still, my beloved. Be quieted in my love. The storm has passed, and the peace that remains is eternal. You are safe. You are held. You are home. I am weaving a tapestry of rest over your consciousness, shielding you from the bombardment of 1,000 decisions you feel you must make. You do not have to make them today. You do not have to solve the mysteries of tomorrow tonight. My sovereignty is the pillow upon which you can finally lay your head. I have already seen the end from the beginning, and I promise you, the outcome is beautiful. The suffering you endured was never a sign of my absence, but a preparation for the magnitude of the light you are about to carry. And because that light is so bright, I am giving you a darkness that is not empty but full of my presence, a sanctuary where you can recover and be made whole. Trust the silence. Trust the stillness. The same power that raised the dead is the power that is now calming your pulse. You are being renewed from the inside out. Receive this peace. Let it saturate your skin, your blood, and your spirit. You are deeply, profoundly, and eternally loved. Now, my beloved, let us speak of the burden that has tightened your chest and stolen the peace of your nights, the gnawing, persistent fear of lack. For too long, you have walked through a landscape of scarcity, a parched and dusty terrain where every resource felt like a fleeting mirage, and every blessing seemed destined for someone else. I have seen the way your heart clenches when you look at the ledgers of your life, and I have heard the frantic, silent calculations you perform in the hollow hours of the morning. You have resided in the desert of poverty, a place where you learned to survive on the thin manna of just enough, and often it felt like not enough at all. But I tell you this day, with the authority of the one who spoke the stars into existence, the borders of that desert are now behind you. The long, wearying season of scraping by, of the constant anxiety over the tomorrow of your needs, is coming to a permanent and divine end. You have wondered why I allowed you to feel the sharp pinch of the world's economy, why I let the walls of financial pressure close in until you felt you could no longer breathe. It was not a sign of my displeasure, nor was it because I had turned my face from the works of your hands. It was a holy detaching. I was pulling your heart away from the false, crumbling security of the systems of men. I needed you to learn, in the very marrow of your bones, that your true source is not a paycheck, a corporation, a bank, or a government. Your source is the throne of grace, and its resources are infinite. I allowed your earthly cisterns to run dry so that you would finally look up and see the clouds forming. I emptied your hands so that, when I fill them now, you will know beyond any shadow of a doubt that it was my hand alone that brought the increase. The magnitude of the destiny I have written for you requires a foundation of wealth that does not corrupt, a provision that flows not from human effort, but from an eternal spring. I am now, in this moment, opening the windows of heaven over your life. Can you hear it? It is the sound of the abundance of rain. This is not a temporary reprieve. It is a fundamental shift in the very fabric of your reality. I am transitioning you from the exhausting economy of the world into the supernatural economy of the kingdom. Where there was barrenness and failed crops, there shall now be a harvest that defies logic. Where there was the heavy chain of debt, there shall be a supernatural surplus. I am clearing the debris from the paths, so that resources you did not even know existed can find their way to your door. I am commanding blessings to overtake you, blessings that you did not labor for, but which are being released because you sought my face in the midst of the famine. You have felt like a wanderer watching others build houses while you lived in a tent of uncertainty. You have felt the sting of shame when you could not give as your heart desired, or when you had to say no to the basic joys of life. I have bottled every tear you shed over a bill you could not pay, and I have recorded every sigh of exhaustion you breathed over a job that drained your soul but left your pockets empty. Know this: none of that time was wasted. In the lean years, I was building a spiritual capacity in you that the wealthy of this world can never understand. I was teaching you the secret of the hidden manna, but the time for hiddenness is over. I am calling you to be a distributor of my goodness. I am placing in your hands the keys to storehouses you did not build. I am bringing people into your path who will be the conduits of my favor, and I am removing the obstacles that have blocked your inheritance for so long. The no of the world is being overruled by the yes of the Father. Do not look at your future with the eyes of the person you were yesterday. Do not view your prospects through the lens of your past failures or the limitations of your education. Look with the eyes of an heir. You are the child of the King of the universe. Everything that is mine is yours. The cattle on 1,000 hills, the silver, the gold, and the hidden treasures of darkness, they are all at my disposal, and I am disposing them toward you. Your suffering was the necessary weight training for this weight of glory. If I had given you this level of abundance before I had given you the wisdom of the wilderness, the weight of the gold would have crushed the gold of your character. But now, you have been refined. You have been humbled in the fire. You have learned to trust my voice in the pitch-black night, and because you can be trusted in the dark, I can finally trust you with the blinding light of prosperity. I am breaking the ancient curse of lack that has haunted your family line for generations. That cycle of barely getting by ends with you. I am anointing your hands for a new kind of increase and your mind for divine strategies that will birth multiple streams of provision. Rest your weary mind from the frantic labor of worry. The windows are wide open. The drought is broken. The desert is but a fading memory in the rearview mirror of your life. Walk forward into the land I have prepared for you, a land flowing with milk and honey, where your cup will not only be full, but will overflow to bless the nations and generations to come. Trust the process of this transition. Just as the Israelites had to learn how to live in a land of plenty after years of desert wandering, you must now learn to live in the abundance I am providing. Do not hoard out of fear, for the source is now eternal. Do not doubt out of habit, for the miracle is now your daily bread. I am the Lord your God, who teaches you to profit and leads you in the way you should go. Follow me into this new territory of grace. My love for you is not a distant, abstract theory. It is practical, it is physical, it is tangible, and it is reflected in the sudden and overwhelming abundance I am pouring into your life even as you read these words. Be still and know that I am not only your God, I am your provider, and I never fail. Receive the wealth of the kingdom now. Yet, even as you stand at the threshold of this vast and overflowing territory, I see the lingering scars left by the seasons of profound loneliness you have endured. You have often wondered why the path to such a magnificent destiny had to be so solitary. You have asked me in the middle of your darkest nights why I allowed the voices of those you loved to fade into silence, and why the doors to the circles you once belonged to were suddenly and inexplicably closed. Hear me now, my beloved child. I did not pull you away from the crowd to isolate you. I pulled you away to insulate you. There is a sacred difference between the two. Isolation is a desert, but insulation is a womb. I knew that the vision I was weaving into the fabric of your soul was so gargantuan, so unconventional, and so holy that it could not survive the contamination of common opinions. If I had left you in the midst of the crowd, their fears would have become your fears. Their limitations would have become your ceilings. Their small-mindedness would have choked the life out of the giant seed I planted within you before the foundations of the world. I had to draw you into the secret place, where the only voice you could truly rely on was mine. This season of being misunderstood was my divine protection. I saw the arrows of doubt that others would have fired at your calling, some out of malice, but many out of a simple inability to see what I see. They could not understand where I am taking you because they have not been where I am taking you. Your destiny is not a shared road. It is a pioneer's trail. If you had stayed where it was comfortable, you would have settled for a life that was merely good, and you would have missed the extraordinary that I have prepared for you. I allowed the silence to grow loud so that you would learn the frequency of my heartbeat. I allowed the distance between you and others to widen so that you would find your identity in me alone, unshakable and unbothered by the praise or the criticism of men. Do not mourn the relationships that withered in the heat of your transition. They were not designed for the climate of your future. Some people are only equipped to walk with you through the plains. They lack the lungs for the mountain peaks I am calling you to climb. By removing them, I was sparing both you and them. I was protecting your vision from their unintentional sabotage, and I was protecting them from the weight of a glory they were never meant to carry. In those moments when you felt most abandoned, I was closest. I was the one whispering in the void, reminding you that you are enough because I am enough. I was the one holding the door shut when you tried to go back to the familiar, because I knew that the familiar had become a cage. You are now emerging from that season of divine insulation, not as one who is lonely, but as one who is focused. You carry a clarity that can only be forged in the fire of solitude. You have a strength that only comes from having no one else to lean on but the Almighty. The insulation is now being removed because you are now sturdy enough to stand in the world without being of it. You can now walk among the crowd without being swayed by the crowd. You can lead those who once rejected you, not from a place of bitterness, but from a place of healed authority. Your loneliness was the price of your purity. It was the gestation period for a purpose that is about to be birthed with such force that it will shake the ground beneath your feet. Trust that I have never wasted a single tear of yours. Every hour you spent wondering if you were forgotten was an hour I spent refining your character, preparing you to handle the massive destiny that is now manifesting. You are not a social outcast. You are a set-apart vessel. You are my hidden treasure, and now is the time for you to be revealed. The weight of the glory you now carry is the direct result of the weight of the silence you once bore. Walk now into the light, knowing that you were never alone, only protected. I have seasoned you in the secret, and now I shall honor you in the open. You must understand, my beloved, that the heat you felt was never intended to consume you, but to consume everything that was not truly you. When you walked through the furnace of those years, you felt the searing intensity of loss, the scorching flame of rejection, and the blistering heat of isolation. You cried out to me, asking why the temperature had been turned so high, and why the cooling winds of favor seemed to have ceased. I want you to look back now with eyes of spirit and see what the fire actually touched. It did not burn your essence. It burned the cords that bound your hands. It did not scorch your soul. It melted the iron collar of your past that kept you looking down at the dust instead of up at the stars. The fire was a sacred necessity, because the destiny I have carved out for you is too heavy to be carried by a person who is still tethered to the opinions of men or the traumas of yesterday. For years, you wore identities like heavy, tattered garments, masks of inadequacy, veils of shame, and the thick robes of people-pleasing. You thought these things were part of you. You thought your wounds were your name. But as the heat rose, these false layers began to curl and blacken. I watched as the you, that the world created began to dissolve, and I saw you tremble as you felt yourself becoming naked and vulnerable in the heat. Yet I was there, the fourth man in the fire, ensuring that not a single hair on your head would be singed, only the lies you believed about your worth. Think of the refiner who sits patiently by the crucible. He does not leave the gold alone in the heat. He sits and watches until the dross, the impurities, the insecurities, the bitterness, rises to the surface. He scrapes it away, over and over, until he can see his own reflection in the molten metal. That is what I have been doing with you. The intensity of your suffering was directly proportional to the purity required for your calling. A common metal can be shaped with a small flame, but gold, the kind of gold that will form the vessels of my kingdom, requires a white-hot intensity. You are that gold. You have emerged from the forge with a strength that cannot be mimicked and a peace that cannot be manufactured. The world looks for shortcuts to power, but I lead my chosen ones through the path of purification. Because you have been melted, you can now be poured into the mold of your true purpose. Because you have been refined, you no longer react to the petty insults of those who do not understand your journey. The fire has made you indestructible. What can a flame do to someone who has already lived in the heart of the furnace? You have reached a state of divine resilience, where the trials that once broke you now only serve to polish you. Do not mourn the versions of yourself that died in that heat. They were shadows, mere ghosts of who I intended you to be. The person standing here now, the one who can look into the mirror and see my light reflected in their eyes, is the true heir. This is the version of you that can walk into a room and change the atmosphere without saying a word. This is the version that can handle the massive wealth, the profound influence, and the spiritual authority I am now releasing. If I had given you the crown while you were still wearing the chains of your past, the weight of the crown would have crushed you. But I loved you too much to let you be destroyed by your own success. I waited until the gold was pure. I waited until your identity was rooted in me and not in the accolades of others. Now, as you step out of the smoke, you will notice that you do not even smell of it. The past has no hold on you. The voices of those who hurt you have been silenced by the roar of my love. You are a masterpiece of the forge, a living testament to the fact that great heat precedes great glory. Your destiny is not just a destination. It is the manifestation of the pure, unadulterated spirit that remains when everything else has been stripped away. Walk forward now, not as a victim of the fire, but as a victor over it. The gold of your soul is ready to shine, and the world is about to see what happens when I finish my work in a heart that refused to turn back. Be still now and let my peace settle over you like a soft, luminescent shroud. You have walked through the furnace, and though you do not smell of smoke, I know the inner chambers of your heart still carry the echoes of the screams you never let out. I see the places where the blade of betrayal went deep, not just into your flesh, but into the very core of your trust. Today, I am the great physician, and this is the hour of your divine surgery. I am reaching into those hidden spaces to remove the shrapnel of the words that were fired at you in anger and malice. Every lie that was whispered behind your back, every curse that was spoken to limit your potential, and every label that was pinned to your soul by those who could not see your worth. I am peeling them away now with the gentlest of hands. You were never meant to carry the weight of their projections. You were never meant to be defined by the ones who lacked the capacity to love you correctly. They spoke out of their own lack, their own fear, and their own blindness, but their words are not my words. I silence them now. I erase the record of their accusations from the walls of your mind. I am the only one who has the final say over who you are, and I say you are my beloved, my chosen, and my pride. Do not let the ghosts of their rejection haunt the palace I am building within you. I am healing the wound of the Judas kiss, that moment when someone you loved and trusted handed you over to the fire. I was there when your heart shattered. I collected every piece. And as I put you back together, I am not just gluing the fragments. I am fusing them with the gold of my presence, making you stronger in the broken places than you were before the fracture. I am addressing the abandonment that left you feeling like an orphan in the world. Every empty chair at your table, every hand that let go when you needed it most, and every voice that went silent when you cried for help. I have felt it all with you. I have never left your side. Even when you could not feel me through the numbness of your grief, I was the steady beat of your heart. I am restoring your sense of belonging. You are not a wanderer, you are a citizen of my glory. You are not an outcast, you are the guest of honor at my feast. I am making all things new, starting with the way you see yourself. I am restoring the years the locusts have eaten, those seasons where it felt like time was being devoured by pain, where your youth and your energy seemed to vanish into the void of your suffering. I am the God of the overflow. I can do more in a single day of my favor than the enemy could steal in a decade of trial. I am accelerating your path. I am breathing life back into the dreams you buried because they hurt too much to hold. Look at your hands. They are no longer empty. I am filling them with the fruits of your endurance. The tears you sowed in secret are coming up as a harvest of joy that will feed nations. This is not a superficial healing. This is a foundational reconstruction. I am removing the scar tissue of resentment that has made your heart feel heavy and hard. I am giving you a heart of flesh again, a heart that can feel, that can hope, and that can love without the paralyzing fear of being hurt. You are safe with me. The world may have failed you, but I am the foundation that never shakes. Your destiny is so massive that it required a heart that could encompass both deep suffering and profound compassion. Now that the surgery is complete, you will move with a grace that confuses those who knew your history. They will look at you and wonder how you can walk with such light after sitting in such darkness. You will tell them that the darkness was just the shadow of my hand protecting you while I worked. You are my new creation. The old has passed away, the sting is gone, the shame is dissolved, and the glory is beginning to break through. Breathe deeply of this new air. The atmosphere of your life has changed. You are no longer defined by what was done to you, but by what I am doing through you. Walk out of this infirmary of the spirit and into the sunlight of your purpose. The world is waiting for the one who was healed by the King. As you step out of the shadows of your own self-judgment, I want you to look at the landscape of your life with new eyes. You have spent decades cataloging your mistakes, keeping a ledger of every time you felt you missed the mark, every moment you surrendered to fear, and every season that felt like a desert of wasted potential. You call these your failures. You carry them like stones in a heavy pack, wondering how someone with such a fractured history could ever be chosen for a massive destiny. But listen to my voice, the voice that spoke light into the void. I do not see as man sees. I do not look at the wreckage and see a loss. I look at the wreckage and see the clearing of the ground. Every time you fell, you were learning the texture of the earth so that one day you could help others stand upon it. Every time you failed, I was dismantling the ego that would have eventually crushed you under the weight of the glory I am about to bestow. You think your weakness is a disqualification, but I tell you it is your primary credential. My power is not an ornament to be hung upon the strong. It is a force that is perfected in the void of your own inability. When you are weak, then you are truly strong, for it is then that my hand is most visible in your life. The world worships the self-made, but I celebrate the grace-made. You are a masterpiece of my restoration, and a restored thing is always more valuable than something that was never broken. Do you remember the nights you cried out, asking why the road had to be so jagged? You thought I had turned my face away, but I was never closer than in those moments of total collapse. I was the one holding your soul together when your mind was ready to shatter. I allowed the systems you trusted in, your own intellect, your own charm, your own stamina, to fail you so that you would learn to trust in the unfailing. This was not a punishment. It was a promotion into the realm of the spirit. You cannot walk on water if you are still clinging to the side of the boat. I had to let the boat sink so you would discover that my grace is more buoyant than any wood and sail. This perspective shift is the final piece of your healing. You must stop apologizing for your history. You must stop viewing your life through the lens of what could have been, and start seeing it through the lens of what I have made. Your perceived failures were actually divine redirections, pruning sessions where I cut away the branches that were sucking the life out of your true purpose. Even the mistakes you made by your own hand, the ones that keep you awake with the if-onlys, even those I have repurposed. I am the master architect who can take the rubble of a collapsed wall and turn it into the foundation of a sanctuary. Now, look closely at those marks upon your soul. You have spent years trying to hide them, masking your history with a veneer of fine. But I am asking you to stop hiding. Those very scars are the map. There are souls wandering in the same wilderness you once inhabited. They are lost, terrified, and bleeding. They will not listen to the person who has never known pain. They will only listen to the one who can show them the way out by pointing to their own healed wounds. Your story is the bridge. Every tear you shed has become a drop of ink in the manual of survival you are writing for others. Your failure was not a dead end. It was a detour designed to give you the coordinates for someone else's rescue. There is a specific fragrance that comes from a crushed flower, a scent that a whole blossom can never emit. That is the fragrance of your life now, the sweet aroma of a spirit that has been broken and found whole in me. This scent will draw the weary to you. They will smell the peace on you and know that it isn't a fake, manufactured peace, but a peace that was won in the trenches. You will look into the eyes of the hopeless and say, "I have been where you are, and look at me now." That statement carries more weight in my kingdom than all the riches of the world. Your scars are your stripes of rank. In the spiritual realm, you are recognized by the battles you have survived. Do not cover them. Do not paint over them with the colors of a life you never lived. Wear them with the quiet dignity of a veteran who knows the cost of freedom. The massive destiny that awaits you requires someone who cannot be intimidated by the dark, because they have already seen the light conquer it. It requires someone who cannot be shamed, because they have already been washed in the blood of the Lamb. It requires you, exactly as you are, with every crack and every mend. You are my evidence. You are my living proof that nothing is beyond my reach and no one is too far gone for my glory. So, breathe in this new air. The atmosphere of your life has shifted from the smog of regret to the oxygen of hope. You are ready. The world is not looking for a perfect person. It is looking for a redeemed one. Go now and show them the map. As you step forward, understand that the ground beneath your feet is no longer the shifting sand of your trials, but the solid bedrock of my decree. I am the God of the seasons, the architect of time, and I am declaring over you that the winter of your soul has broken. Do not look for the frost where the sun is already shining. Do not search for the shadows of your yesterday when the noonday light of your destiny is beginning to crest the horizon. The spiritual mechanics of this breakthrough are already in motion, operating with a precision that defies human logic. Just as the seed must experience the crushing weight of the earth to trigger the expansion of life, your spirit has been under a divine compression. This was not meant to destroy you, but to activate the latent power I placed within you before the world began. In the unseen realm, a massive displacement is occurring. When a heavy object is lowered into water, the water must rise. So it is with the weight of glory I am pouring into your life. As my presence increases within you, the darkness that once occupied that space is being forcibly displaced. It has no choice but to flee, for light does not negotiate with darkness. It simply occupies. You have felt the tension of this transition, the friction of the old world rubbing against the new. But I tell you, the friction is the very thing that is igniting the fire of your purpose. For years, you have lived behind a veil of obscurity, a necessary cocoon where your character could be forged in the absence of applause. But the veil is now being torn from top to bottom. The gears of the heavens have clicked into a new alignment, and the friction you feel is the acceleration of my grace. Do not be afraid of the speed at which things will now begin to move. You have been prepared in the slow, agonizing stillness of the cave for the rapid, expansive movement of the mountain. In the spiritual mechanics of my kingdom, your long endurance has built a capacity for power that would have crushed a lesser soul. You are now a vessel that can carry the voltage of my favor without being consumed by it. I am opening the floodgates of opportunity, not as a reward for your perfection, but as a response to your persistence. The dam of delay has finally broken. The prayers you thought were lost in the silence were actually being stored in the reservoirs of heaven, and they are now being released as a torrential rain of provision and influence. This is the law of the harvest. That which was sown in tears must, by my very nature, be reaped in joy. You are walking into a season where the reaper will overtake the plowman. The time between your request and my response is shrinking, for you have entered the frequency of my immediate will. In this new atmosphere, your authority is not a concept. It is a currency. Because you have learned to submit to me in the depths of the valley, the mountains will now submit to the words of your mouth. I have given you the keys, not to doors you must struggle to open, but to doors that have already been unlocked by my own hand. Your role is simply to turn the handle and walk through. The light you see is not a train coming to hit you. It is the dawn of your greatest assignment. You are no longer the victim of your history. You are the victor of my future. Every scar you carry is now a signature of my faithfulness, a mark of a veteran who has survived the worst the enemy could throw and emerged with the spoils of war. Breathe in the oxygen of this new era. The air is thinner here, higher up, where the perspective is clear and the horizon is vast. You were made for this height. You were engineered for this magnitude. The world is waiting for the sound of a voice that has been tempered in the furnace of affliction, and yours is that voice. Step out of the shadows of the past and into the blinding brightness of your now. The season has changed, the decree has been signed, and the heavens are standing in silent anticipation of your first step. Go, for I am with you, and my glory is your rear guard. But even as you take those first steps into the blinding brightness of your now, I need you to pause and feel the weight of a different kind of glory, the glory of being loved simply because you are mine. There is a subtle temptation that follows great suffering, the belief that you must now perform at a level equal to the pain you have endured. You may feel an internal pressure to prove that the furnace was worth it, to justify the scars by achieving a monumental success that everyone can see. But I want to quiet those voices of expectation. I want to settle the dust of your striving. My love for you is not a transaction, and it is certainly not based on your performance. You have spent years, perhaps decades, scanning your own heart for the flaws you believed invited the storm. You thought that if you were only more disciplined, more perfect, or more useful, the path would have been smoother. Hear me now. Your worthiness was never on the table. It was never up for debate. You are my masterpiece, not because of what you can do for my kingdom, but because of whose image you carry within your very DNA. I did not design you to be a tool that I use until it breaks. I designed you to be a child with whom I share my life. Before you ever took a breath, before you ever faced a single trial, I looked at the blueprint of your soul and declared it very good. The magnitude of your destiny is not a reward for your behavior. It is an outworking of the identity I gave you before the foundations of the world were laid. When I look at you, I do not see a list of failures or a tally of missed opportunities. I do not see the moments you crumbled under the weight of the grief. I see my child. I see a masterpiece that has been refined, yes, but its value was infinite even when it was covered in the dust of the valley. You must stop trying to earn the right to occupy the space I have cleared for you. You are there because I want you there. You have nothing to prove to the heavens, and certainly nothing to prove to the world. Your destiny is not a stage where you perform for my approval. It is a garden where we walk together in the cool of the day. If you never accomplished another thing, if you simply sat in my presence for the rest of eternity, you would be no less loved and no less precious to me. The massive destiny I speak of is not about your effort. It is about my grace flowing through a vessel that has finally learned to stop trying to hold itself together. I want you to breathe deeply and let go of the exhaustion of trying to be enough. You are enough because I am enough in you. Your scars are not marks of shame or reminders of where you fell short. They are the gold I have poured into the cracks of your life to make you even more beautiful. I am the great artist, and I do not make mistakes. Every detail of your temperament, every sensitivity of your spirit, and even the pace at which you heal has been factored into my design. Do not look to your left or your right to compare your progress with others. Their path is not yours, and my love for them does not diminish my singular, focused affection for you. You are my pride and my joy. I am not waiting for you to become someone else. I am inviting you to finally become who I always knew you were. This new era is not a call to work harder. It is a call to rest deeper in the reality of my unconditional favor. The world measures by output, but I measure by intimacy. The world rewards the fast, but I reward the faithful who remain in my love. So, as you walk through this open door, do not carry the heavy luggage of performance-based worth. Leave it at the threshold. Step into the light of my grace, where you are fully known and yet fully loved, where your flaws are covered by my glory, and where your only assignment is to be my beloved. You are my masterpiece, designed with intention, forged in love, and destined for a magnitude that begins and ends in the simple, profound truth that you are mine. Now that you have come to rest in the sanctuary of my love, it is time to learn the gait of one who walks in a massive destiny. You are no longer the one fleeing from the shadow of your pain. You are the one carrying the light that dispels the shadows for others. You do not walk like a slave who fears the lash, nor like a hireling who watches the clock, but like a son, like a daughter, who knows the inheritance is already theirs. As you move forward, I want you to look at your hands. They have been emptied by the seasons of loss so that they could be filled with the weight of my glory. The scars you carry are not defects, they are your credentials. They are the map of the territory you have conquered, and they are the evidence that you can survive the fire. Use this wisdom, my child, to lead those who are still in the furnace. You lead not by the height of your throne, but by the depth of your empathy. The world is full of leaders who have never bled, but I am raising you to be a leader who knows the price of peace. When you speak to the broken, your words will not be empty sounds, but living medicine, because they were distilled in the silence of your own suffering. This is how you will heal. You will heal by being a witness to the possibility of restoration. You will heal by showing your wounds and then showing the one who bound them up. Your life is now a living epistle, a story of redemption that others will read to find the courage to keep breathing. And as you build the kingdom I have placed within your reach, do not look for the grand and the spectacular as the human eye defines it. The kingdom of heaven is built in the quiet moments of obedience, in the refusal to judge, and in the decision to see others through my eyes. Your kingdom work is found in the way you listen to the heavy-hearted, the way you speak truth to the deceived, and the way you offer grace to the undeserving, just as I have offered it to you. I have given you a sphere of influence, a territory of hearts that only you can reach. Do not compare your reach to the reach of others. A single heart turned toward my light is a victory that echoes through eternity. You are an architect of hope. You are building with materials that the world discarded as useless, the broken, the weary, the overlooked. Because you were once among them, you know the hidden value in the ruins. Instruction for your walk: stay close to my side. Do not let the activity of building distract you from the intimacy of abiding. Your authority flows from your proximity to me. If you walk ahead of me, you will carry a burden I never intended for you. If you walk behind me, you will miss the opportunities I am opening before you. Walk with me in the rhythm of grace. Let your leadership be characterized by the same tenderness I have shown you in your darkest nights. Use the discernment you sharpened in the wilderness to see past the masks people wear. See the longing behind the anger, the fear behind the pride, and speak to the gold I have hidden within them. You are no longer a victim of your history. You are the steward of your testimony. The magnitude of your destiny is matched only by the depth of the love that now carries you. Every tear you shed has been redeemed and turned into a well of life for others. This is why you suffered, not because I desired your pain, but because I knew the weight of the glory you were destined to carry would require a heart that had been expanded by the fire. You are ready now. The door is open, the path is clear, and my presence goes before you. Go, my beloved child, and build the kingdom that has been waiting for the unique touch of your hands and the specific song of your heart. You are my pride, you are my joy, and you are the manifest evidence of my redeeming power. Walk in the fullness of who you are, for you are mine, and in you I am well pleased. Come closer now, my child. Let the echoes of the world fade until there is only the sound of my heartbeat and the rhythm of your own breath, finally slowing into peace. You have journeyed through the valley of shadows. You have climbed the jagged cliffs of doubt, and you have stood firm while the winds of adversity tried to scatter your very soul. But look around you. The storm has passed. The air is still, and the light that breaks across this new horizon is not the harsh glare of judgment, but the soft, golden hue of a promise kept. I invite you now to lean in. There is no longer a need for the vigilant watch or the clenched fist. Lay your head upon my shoulder and let the weight of your journey fall away. I know how heavy it has been. I know the secret toll the long years of waiting took on your spirit. I felt every tremor of your heart when you thought you couldn't take another step, yet you took it anyway. You are safe now. The war is over. The silence you hear is not the absence of life, but the presence of my peace, a peace that surpasses all understanding and guards your heart for all eternity. Do you feel the warmth? That is the fire of your refinement turned into the hearth of your home. The massive destiny that once seemed like a terrifying mountain to scale has become the beautiful landscape in which you now dwell. It is no longer a dream you are chasing. It is the reality you are breathing. Every scar on your heart has become a window through which my glory now shines, illuminating the path for others without you even having to try. You see, the greatness of your destiny was never about what you would do for me, but about who you would become in me. And you have become a masterpiece of resilience, a living testament to the fact that nothing, neither height nor depth, nor life nor death, could ever separate you from my love. The suffering was the breaking of the husk so that the seed of your true self could finally burst forth. And oh, how beautiful you are! There is a depth in your soul that could only have been carved by the persistence of tears, a capacity for joy that could only have been expanded by the presence of sorrow. Rest here for a moment. Feel my hand upon your head, stilling the last of the anxious thoughts. You don't have to plan the next phase. You don't have to worry about how to sustain the glory. I am the sustainer. I am the source. You are simply the vessel, and my grace is the oil that will never run dry. The huge destiny people speak of often sounds like a burden of labor, but in my kingdom, it is a burden of rest. It is the ease of walking in your true identity. It is the authority of one who knows they are deeply loved. You are not a servant trying to earn a place. You are a child who has inherited the kingdom. The struggle to prove yourself is gone. The need to defend your worth has vanished in the light of my acceptance. You are enough. You have always been enough, but now you finally believe it. Look out at the world through my eyes for a moment. See the works I have prepared for your hands, not as chores, but as dances. See the people who will be healed by your presence, not because you are perfect, but because you are whole. Your history is no longer a chain. It is a bridge. You will walk across it to reach those who are still in the dark, and you will lead them home with the same gentleness I have shown you. This is the weight of your glory. It is the weight of a love so heavy it anchors you, yet so light it gives you wings. As you rest here, let the truth wash over you like a gentle tide. It is finished. The preparation is complete. The destiny is yours. You have been faithful in the little and the much, in the hidden and the seen. Now enter into the joy of your Lord. This is not just a chapter ending. It is the beginning of the eternal poem we are writing together. No more fear. No more striving. Just the quiet confidence of a heart that has found its home. I am with you, and I will never leave you. The battle is won, the victory is absolute, and you, my precious child, are the prize I have always cherished. Stay here as long as you need. My shoulder is broad, my love is endless, and my joy over you is complete. You are finally, truly, and forever at peace.